They laughed when she backed her horse trailer into the junkyard. $500 for a bag of bones? One man sneered. A vet would have to be out of her mind. But Dr. Emily Carter, the new large animal veterinarian in the sleepy town of Willow Creek, didn't see a lost cause when she looked at the skeletal mare standing among piles of rusted car doors and discarded refrigerators. What Emily saw was a mystery wrapped in suffering, and the truth that would come 3 weeks later, delivered by a DNA test, would shake the thoroughbred, racing world and change the fate of the little town forever. It began on a misty Tuesday morning in late autumn. Emily was in her cramped office above the local feed store, sipping coffee and reviewing vaccination schedules, when the phone rang. "Dr. Carter?" The voice on the other end trembled. "It's Mary O'Donnell. You need to come quick. There's a horse out at Cal Kowalski's salvage yard. She's been there for months, maybe longer. He won't say where he got her, but she's wasting away. It's breaking my heart." Emily didn't hesitate. Mary, a retired teacher in her 70s, was the town's unofficial protector of strays and neglected animals. If she said something wasn't right, Emily knew it was serious. The vet grabbed her keys and drove toward the outskirts of town, where Cal's auto yard sprawled like a graveyard of twisted metal and broken dreams. The smell of rust and motor oil hung heavy as Emily navigated between towers of stacked vehicles. She followed Mary to a makeshift pen built from scrap chain link and warped lumber. Her breath caught. The mare stood motionless, coat matted and caked in filth. Her ribs jutted out like fence posts. Her head hung so low, her muzzle nearly brushed the dirt. A trough in the corner was bone dry. Only feed was a scattering of moldy hay. But it was the eyes that undid Emily. They weren't defiant or frightened, just empty. The gaze of an animal that had surrendered to suffering. Emily approached slowly, murmuring, "Easy, girl. No one's going to hurt you now." The mare didn't even flick an ear. Mary wiped tears from her lined cheeks. "I sneak her food when I can, but Cal catches me, says she's his property. She hasn't got much longer, Doc." "Please." Emily's jaw tightened. The horse needed medical intervention immediately. But first she had to convince Cal Kowalski to let her go. They found Cal crawling out of a gutted Camaro, wiping grease onto an already filthy jumpsuit. "You're the new vet," he grunted. "That nag ain't worth your time. Been meaning to call the renderer anyhow." Emily steadied her voice. "Mr. Kowalski, that mare is suffering. If animal control gets involved, you could face charges. Let me take her. I'll give you $500 cash. No questions asked." Cal squinted, calculating. 500. For that skeleton, his lips curled. "Lady, you're crazier than I thought. But fine, she's yours." 20 minutes later, Emily had bought herself the most hopeless-looking patient she'd ever seen. Loading the mare who, Emily soon named Aurora, was agonizing. Every step threatened collapse, but somehow, with gentle coaxing, they got her into the trailer. Her clinic, a converted dairy barn on the edge of Willow Creek, had been struggling since she'd taken it over from a retired vet. But as her assistant, Jake Ramirez, prepared a stall with fresh bedding, he flashed her a wry grin. "Another charity case, huh?" "You'll see," Emily muttered. "This one's different." Aurora's condition was worse than Emily had feared. Severely anemic, organs stressed from starvation, her body temperature dangerously low. Worst of all, she seemed mentally absent, responsive even to touch or food. Still, Emily refused to give up. She began a careful refeeding protocol, tiny meals measured by the gram to avoid shocking Aurora's system. Nights blurred into days as Emily and Jake kept vigil, offering whispered reassurances. "You're safe now, girl, one meal at a time." For days there was little change. Then, on the 5th morning, Jake reported softly. "She looked at the food before eating it today." Emily's chest swelled with cautious hope. That tiny flicker of interest meant the will to live was returning. By the 2nd week, Aurora had gained weight. Her coat began to reveal a deep beige sheen beneath the grime. Emily studied her closely, the elegant curve of her neck, the refined head, the bone structure. This was no backyard horse. Something about her nagged at Emily's memory. Mary arrived one afternoon carrying a faded racing form she'd found while cleaning. You're pointed to a photo of a sleek filly in full stride. "That's Evening Star, won her first 3 races. Then vanished one night. Folks said stolen. Or maybe she bolted and got lost. Never found. Emily's eyes locked on the photo. The filly's left hind leg bore a small white marking, identical to the scarred fetlock on Aurora. Her pulse quickened. Could it be? Evening Star had been a rising thoroughbred, worth a fortune in bloodlines alone. If Aurora was truly her, the implications were staggering. But speculation wasn't enough. Emily ordered a DNA test, scraping together funds she could barely spare. "We need to know," she whispered, pressing her forehead to Aurora's. 2 anxious weeks crawled by. Aurora continued improving, gaining strength, showing curiosity, even nuzzling Emily with a tentative nicker. Then the call came. "Dr. Carter," the lab tech said, "your results are in. The horse you submitted matches the genetic profile of Evening Star, missing from Ashwood stables since 2018. Emily stared at the screen. Match confirmed. Aurora was Evening Star. She dialed the number listed on the old missing horse report. A woman's voice answered. "Mrs. Fairchild?" Emily's throat tightened. "My name is Dr. Emily Carter. I believe I've found your Evening Star. She's alive." The silence on the line was so long Emily thought she'd lost the connection. Then came a sharp gasp, followed by broken sobs. "Say that again, Charlotte," Fairchild whispered. "Please?" "She's here, ma'am. She was in terrible shape, but she's recovering. Your star is alive." Charlotte and her farm manager, Henry Blake, drove through the night. By dawn, their dust-coated SUV pulled into Emily's clinic. Charlotte, silver-haired and elegant despite the all-night drive, trembled as Emily led them to the stall. Henry, weathered and stoic, walked at her side. When Aurora Evening Star lifted her head, Charlotte's composure crumbled. "Star," she whispered, tears streaming, "my beautiful girl, what did they do to you?" Aurora stepped forward hesitantly, nostrils flaring. Then recognition sparked. She pressed her muzzle into Charlotte's hand, eyes softening with memory. Emily swallowed hard as horse and owner reunited. 5 lost years collapsing into a single, trembling moment. Over the next hours, the reality unfolded: legalities of ownership, veterinary assessments, and plans for rehabilitation. Charlotte insisted Emily remain part of Star's journey. "She trusts you," Charlotte said firmly. "And so do I. She stays here until she's ready. We'll cover everything." Months passed. With proper care, Aurora Star blossomed. Her coat gleamed, her weight returned, and her playful spirit emerged. Charlotte and Henry visited weekly, and each time, the mare's eager nickers proved she remembered her past life. One crisp autumn afternoon, Charlotte made an announcement that stunned Emily. "I want you to have her first foal," she said simply. "Evening Star owes her life to you, it's only right." Emily's protests were silenced by Charlotte's raised hand. "Shh, you gave her a second chance. Now I'm giving you yours." By spring, Evening Star stood in a sunlit pasture at Ashwood stables, her belly round with foal, her dignity fully restored. Emily visited often, watching the mare graze peacefully among others of her kind. "She looks happy," Emily said softly. Charlotte smiled, eyes shining. "She is, and so are you. This story isn't ending, it's just beginning." As Star nickered and pressed her muzzle once more into Emily's hand, the vet realized the truth. The greatest treasure wasn't her pedigree or her worth. It was the privilege of seeing a broken spirit healed and a forgotten life reclaimed. From a junkyard skeleton to a legend reborn, Evening Star's story would be told for generations, a testament to resilience, compassion, and the power of second chances.